Alright, hey, what's up, guys? Austin back here in our video, and we actually have a special guest with us, Mr. Ethan Hayes here. And he was nice enough to be my partner in this fishing for mission tournament. He done an awesome job, put the only fish in the boat. So, y'all have heard me talk about tournament fishing, talking about getting ready for it and going and doing it. So, me and him's going to break down like the mental aspect of it and the steps and the process and mental focus and mental toughness that you have to put yourself through to do well. Um, Ethan, you want to explain first what you feel is most important?
Okay, what I think is most important whenever you're learning tournament fishing is everybody expects to go out there and be fantastic, catch fish all the time, do all that. Whenever most times is you're not going to do well in these tournaments. That's the big thing about fishing is you lose almost every tournament you fish. At least that's my experience. I've won maybe one or two. Fished a bunch. You're gonna lose a lot. That doesn't mean you won't place high, but still, some of my best days in fishing tournaments, I still place second or third, and those are the ones that eat at you quite a bit. Not the ones where you suck it up. You kind of work those off. You learn how to do that. The wins that always just makes your wins that much sweeter, but you gotta learn how to lose. And we got a good lesson in that today.
Yeah, he put the only keeper in the boat. I did not put a single fish in the boat, and that's where he's talking about that days where you have it figured out and you get 5 fish and you have a good bag and you still come up short. That's the days that really eat at you. The days that things has changed from your pre-fishing, I mean, the best you can do is start from square one. You can still stick to that game plan, but if that ain't working, then you need to make a change. And we got a good lesson in that today, because we went for one species and they wasn't there, and we're just like, it is not a day for smallmouth. And it was a 16 pound bag of smallmouth brought in, and we're just like, whoa. But
He's the only smallmouth I've seen weighed in the whole tournament, though.
I
So,
actually seen a couple
you
of them.
did?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't up there.
Right. But that's where the mental toughness comes in, being able to be like, hey, I'm going to grind it out. I got this, not giving up, because if you give up, then what are you doing? I mean, if you have that bait in the water, it just takes one cast and one fish to go from last to first, according to how big of a gap that is. But it's just that, and just being sure to stay focused, dialed in, paying attention, and just basically being out there grinding. Like he mentioned, you will lose a lot. I've lost a lot. I've won one tournament on my own, and I mean, I placed high, but was I still happy with myself? No, I was not, because I was just like, well, if this fish wouldn't have got off, then I would have been able to get first. And that's another big thing to tournament fishing and getting your mind set ready. You can't think of what you've lost. You can't think of what you did. That don't matter. If that fish gets off or breaks you, that fish is gone. You need to be focused on doing the same, well, not the same thing, but actually getting the next fish in the boat.
Yeah.
And that's a learning moment. If you give him too long, he wraps you up, then there you go. You know to get him out of there. But, I mean, and another thing me and Ethan learned today, I'm pretty sure you can agree, is just because you pre-fish and just because you put in the time and effort don't mean you are going to do well. I mean, we pre-fished last Saturday. I pre-fished the Saturday before, and then the tournament was today, and none of the spots we had found produced a good bag. We just had that one. But a lot can change in a week. A lot can change overnight. I mean, we got a good lesson today. Me and him both learned. I'm not mad or upset about it. We done the best we could. I mean, we did tried our best, but it just wasn't good enough. But congrats to those guys that did win, and I am glad that everybody came out to the Fishing the Mission tournament. Even seen Charlie Evans, so y'all know he's a legend and everything like that. Ethan, anything we're missing on pre-fishing or tournament there?
Just one thing that you said was where we place high, some of the tournaments like second and third. I heard you say that you're not happy with yourself on that. And I understand that from a competitive aspect. We're both fairly competitive people and we want to win. But one thing that you have to learn whenever you're tournament fishing, I feel, is whenever you get those second and third place finishes, you have to realize that, hey, that's pretty dang good. Okay, because I'm sure, like, I've won some little tournaments, but the best tournament I ever did, I placed third. And that's one of my most proud moments. Now, did me and my partner at the time both have fish on to win that? Does that eat at me? Yes. But that's where the mental toughness thing has to come in, and you have to be like, forget about that. We did well. This is what we did right. We did this wrong. Nothing we can do about it now, so let's just enjoy what we did get. You have to enjoy what you do get in these tournaments because winning's few and far between.
And if you don't accept it and everything like that, then that's going to eat at you and eat at you and eat at you, and it's going to make you tournament. I don't want to fish that, and I didn't do no good, nothing. Second, third, nothing wrong with it. You were beating the majority of the people out there.
Is it as fun as winning? Absolutely not. And it's gonna bother you, but you can't just let it keep eating at you. Like, that bothered me for a long time that we didn't win that. But I've matured a little bit. I've just accepted, hey, we did well that tournament. That's a good tournament for me. It doesn't bother me anymore. I've accepted it. So you just have to learn to kind of roll with what you get. Because whenever you're willing to put out your best effort, you can't expect to get more than what you do get. Because if you give your best, you gave your best.
Yeah.
And that's what you can be proud of, is if you're willing to go out there and try your hardest for
8 to 10 hours.
8 hours. That's hard to do.
It is, and that's where the mental focus comes in. Same way as this, we pre-fished, had a good pre-fishing, and kind of how you would pre-fish, you're not going to pull up to a spot and catch 2 or 3. You're going to pull up to a spot and get 1 to 2 bites, or get 1 fish in and then leave. You're going to try to find another spot similar to that. Whether it's chunk rock, you're going to pay attention and try to find chunk rock. Whether it's pea gravel, you're going to go to pea gravel. Where it's a steep bluff wall, fish a bluff wall. But if you honestly feel like conditions has changed, like the weather's changed, like water temp, dropping water, rising water, water clarity, don't be afraid to play around with that. And that's where me and him kind of messed up today, because we was sticking to the pre-fish. Yeah. And I mean, if your pre-fishing ain't working, don't be afraid to beat off that path, because what you're going to do, you're going to end up wasting your day. And then when you finally be like, well, I'm done with this ain't working, you're going to have an hour to 3 hours left, and that is extremely hard to do.
Oh, yeah.
To put not just 5 fish, but put 5 quality fish in the boat. But, I mean, just like this morning people got on a topwater bite. I mean, we threw a little topwater, that was it. But
for a while.
I mean, we didn't get a bite on it. We just wasn't in the right spot. Something wasn't right. I mean, and that's about it. I mean, pre-fishing was great both times we went, but this tournament, we just took the big L. I mean, no excuses. It was on us. No excuses to be made, but that don't mean we ain't go fishing nothing. You have anything to add, Ethan?
I don't think I do.
But this here was like mental toughness, physical breakdown. Also, you have to be willing to go the extra mile. I got off work. Well, I got off work and I'd already been up since 6. I went and picked up baits, and I mean, I'm not gonna get into that, but I went and picked up some baits in Lexington, came back, came straight here, and me and him done rods and tackle. Me and him was up till 2 a.m. and we was leaving out at 4. So you're not going to get a lot of sleep, and that all goes back to mental focus, mental stress. If you're not really good at handling the stress, maybe you need to fish some of the smaller local tournaments. I mean, Cumberland, it's like an hour, but not even an hour. But we had to get boat numbers, so we want to be over in time. That way we wasn't waiting. And we got out at a good time. So, I mean, that all goes into it. But if you're not willing to do that, maybe you should like fish some Thursday nighters, Friday nighters, or Saturday nighters and not worry about your big tournaments until you feel you're ready for it.
I would actually recommend not fishing these larger tournaments like you and I just fished today. At least not starting out. The tournament today had 107 boats. That's not huge for us, but it's still pretty big. And for around here, that's a pretty large tournament. Whenever you fish a tournament like that, you're up against a lot of people. That's a lot of competition, and the people that are willing to go out there and compete for that kind of money that we were having put up and all that stuff, and the money that the fishing permission people were willing to put out, the prize money for it was a pretty substantial amount.
Yeah.
And whenever they're willing to put out that kind of money, then the real deal is going to show up to come play.
Yep. I mean,
and they're going to take it very serious. So to get into this, see if you like it, I would suggest a Thursday nighter. The first tournament I fished was 10 boats.
First tournament I fished was around 10 because we was in high school.
Yeah, we was in the same one. Me and him both fished the same first tournament.
It was rough that day too. Yeah. I didn't bring in a fish that day.
I caught one.
It was tough. I mean,
rough day.
Right now, it's a bad time to fish anyhow. And, I mean, props to them guys that killed them. It blew my mind to see 5 smallmouth come in at 16 pounds.
Absolutely.
Because that's averaging 4 pounds. But big shout out to them if y'all are watching them. But a little fun fact, me and Ethan both fished for North Florida High School, as you can tell.
Yeah.
By some of his Instagram photos. He has that North Florida Bass Team hat he always wears. So, but we was always basically enemies in it because we never fished as partners.
Oh yeah. Never quite got working together.
But that's just a little bit about how our day went, and also about tournament fishing, mental stress, and basically what you need to be able to do well in these, or to even really be able to take the stress it puts on you, because it's way different than fun fishing. You're constantly looking at the time, and you're just like, oh crap, I only got an hour, I only have 30 minutes, and now I gotta be running back to the dock 15 minutes, and it just puts a lot on you. I mean, you ain't got all day to put a pattern together. You literally have 8 to 10 hours to get it and go.
That's one of the hardest things that I'm still working on with tournament fishing is you have to be aware of all the stuff like that, your time, how far you're running, your gas, all that stuff. You can't just, we'll go get some extra gas. We'll stay out a couple more hours. So you have to be aware of that. But how I feel, you have to learn how to also block it out at the same time to where you're not worried about it. You have to be aware of what's going on, but not worried about it. Like today, a good example would be there was 3 hours left, and we both just said, that's plenty of time to catch 4 more. Even during that part of the day, we just said, screw it to our pattern. And like he said, that's a terrible time to do it. It's 3 hours left in the day. But even then, we both knew that to be able to pull something off, you have to believe that you can pull something off in that situation. So, okay, there's only 3 hours left. You can catch 4 fish in 3 hours.
Absolutely, you can do that in 30 minutes.
Just about everybody watching this, I'm sure, has caught 4 fish in 3 hours. It's not impossible to do, but you have to just almost tell yourself, hey, you can do this. And just try and remain positive. The only time you should give up, me and him both said it, the only time we give up is when we're driving the boat back in to put the boat number back in the box.
Yeah.
That's the only time you give up is whenever you're done.
We literally made right at a 20-minute ride. We made a 20-minute ride with maybe an hour left, and when we got there, we had literally 30 minutes to fish, and I mean, it was a shallow.
In all honesty, I believe we was both fishing just as hard those last 30 minutes where it was looking terrible than as we were those first 30 minutes where we caught that one. I mean, we just, early in the morning, we had the pattern. We caught one pretty quick, so we thought that's what honestly made us stay on the pattern a little bit longer than we should have.
Yeah.
So we caught one, got some false confidence that this is what was going to happen, and it just didn't work out for us. But I believe we was fishing just as hard then as we were at the beginning as we were at the end.
And another thing on me, I was constantly thinking about that time, just tick, 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 because this is my first tournament in the year. This is Ethan's first tournament in 2 or 3 years. So we're just now looking to get back into it. So we are a little bit out of rhythm.
Oh, yeah.
But I was fishing my bait too fast. I knew I was, but I felt like I was going to get bit, and it just didn't happen for me. And then when I tried to slow down, they still wouldn't hit it. So that's just how it goes. But anyway, thank y'all for watching this. Y'all, and another tip. Don't get a partner that you're going to argue with. Me and Ethan, we fished together, 5-6 times now?
Yeah.
And we've never once argued. We're always on the same page where it's like, look at that bank, yeah, it looks good.
That's going to be hard to find.
Yeah.
Okay, and you, honestly, if me and him keep fishing together enough, which I hope we do, there's going to be times when we disagree on what to do.
No, absolutely.
That's just how it is. We're 2 different people. We're going to think different things. Don't make it a big deal.
Mm-mm.
Don't start arguing in the boat. Think about drop kicking one off the front deck. You both need to work it out. Be 2 adults. Just figure it out and say, hey, if we do what you want to do, sometimes you need to be the bigger man. Just be like, hey, if we do what you want to do, then we're going to go do what I want to do next. If
Absolutely.
what your stuff you're saying doesn't work out. And if it does, then good deal. So sometimes just be the bigger man. And if you're being stubborn and your partner's a bigger man, later on be like, hey, sorry about this. If you realize he's being a turd, just don't let things get personal over
No.
stuff like that.
I absolutely agree with him 110%. But also, don't get this in your head. I feel like some of you all might. Like, say me and Ethan was partners, and his pattern was working today. Well, we do that today. We have a tournament next weekend. Don't put it all on that partner that was right the previous weekend, because that's basically putting him in a one-man show, and your partners, you're supposed to figure it out, you're supposed to grind it out. And a big tip, don't be afraid to try different things and have different things tied on. That is what we're going to get into on part 2. But we do thank y'all for watching us. As always, check out Dog Patch Trading Post, Saddlebrook Outdoors, Kurt Singer Sunrise Outfitters, and the Tackle Spot. And always, be sure to do something nice for someone. Be safe, have fun, have a good day, and give God all the glory. I'm out.